it is Nikki. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for being patient with me over these past few weeks as I got through exams. I actually just got home from my last exam, so I'm feeling good. You know that gif of like Kermit waving his arms around and celebrating? Insert that gif here. That's how I'm feeling right now. Lots of reasons to be excited, and one of them is that we have a week until May, and I told myself in a goals video a little while ago that I was going to finish Operation Prequel by May, and that is just looking a little bit unlikely, but also just within the realm of possibility, enough that I feel like I want to try for it. So here's the plan. I've mapped it out. I've got roughly 9 chapters or 9 big scenes that I've got to finish in order to get to the end of this book. I'm right in the middle of the climax right now. I think I can do it if I spend the next week really focusing on this project. That is what this video is all about. A week vlog of me getting through this draft, or trying to get to the end of this draft by May. Day 1, let's go. Day 1, I actually had an exam that day, so that was the first priority. But when I got home, I was able to start writing Someone Loses an Eye, always exciting. It was a really fun scene because it centered around one of my favorite sort of side characters, and it was really a shining moment for him. Little status update. I just finished my first chunk of story that I wanted to get to today. Feeling good. It wasn't a complete chapter because I already had a couple pages written. Does that count? We're gonna say it counts. Now, in order to keep this thing rolling, I know that I shouldn't go straight into the next chapter because my attention span will not do well with that. So time for a little brain break, and then I'll get back into it. So later that day, after I'd finished Someone Loses an Eye, I could move on to scene number 2, Someone Loses a Finger, which is a hugely important scene because it's a moment where one of my more ambivalent characters, who's like not quite bad but also not brave enough to be quite good, actually takes that step to stand up for what's right. So huge moment of character growth, very climactic, and I had a lot of fun writing it. Okay, day 2. Yesterday I was able to get through all of part 1 and most of Someone Loses a Finger, although I didn't actually get to the part where someone loses a finger. That is on the agenda for today. The plan is to finish that and part 3, which is a little more romantic, by the end of the morning. Then I'm taking a little break, which I'm spending with my grandmother, and in the afternoon I really want to get through part 4. Ambitious? Probably. But that's the goal for today. Step 1 in creating a productive writing space is tidying up. I honestly can't focus when everything around me is just a mess. It's just, that will be one of the things that distracts me and keeps me from writing because I'll just have to clean it up, and I don't need more reasons to procrastinate. Then I got to finish Someone Loses a Finger because I wasn't quite able to finish that earlier. And later that day, once I finished Someone Loses a Finger, I think I started a little bit of my third scene, which was Battle's a Good Time for Romance, right? That scene was a lot of fun because it was a really cute moment in the middle of all this chaos that's going on, where my male lead and my female lead were able to just have this like really important conversation, make a connection. When I first started the project, I really wasn't feeling it. Like, I was more into her relationship with someone else, honestly, but writing that scene and some of the scenes to come really made me get on board with their blossoming romance. So today is actually a work day, which is really nice because it means I basically have the whole morning to myself, and then I get to go to work, and there's actually lots of opportunities while I'm there to be doing soft writing. So thinking about story stuff in my head, which always makes it so much easier to write the scenes when I've had that time to think about the scenes in advance. This morning was so nice. I got off to a slow but productive start, writing in bed. Finished a scene that I didn't quite finish last night and actually got pretty deep into. I believe it's scene 5, Mech Activates Epic Mode. I had to do a little bit of rejigging because I realized that some of those bigger chunks I had in my plan, I actually want to break into smaller chunks just to keep that fast climax pace going. It technically means that I have more than 9 scenes that I need to write within this 1 week period, but since they're potentially shorter clips, I'm hoping it won't trip me up too much. Okay, day 4 has not been very productive so far. I've essentially written nothing. Not a word. That is really frustrating because the scene that I was going to write today is actually pretty key, and once I have that under my belt, I will feel so much better about the rest of this project. That said, the day is not over yet. I'm gonna light some candles, try and create the right vibe, and let's see if we can salvage day 4. Day 4, it did get off to a really slow start, but I was able to chip away at Taz Goes the Distance Rocky style. Again, huge scene. So this was like a continuation of Someone Loses a Finger. He had made the difficult choice, the difficult sacrifices, and now he had to face the consequences in sort of a battle context and get himself out of there alive, which ended up having a lot of really cool consequences and effects. He inspired loyalty in a lot of people and ended up with this little army. Wasn't expecting that, but it really worked, and I'm happy for him. All right, day 5. Here's a little shot of Reggie for you. What was I working on day 5? I believe I was finishing up that scene with Tesneil potentially getting a little bit into Mech Activates Epic mode, but that might have been the next day. See, this is what happens when you don't keep notes during the week. Honestly, guys, I will figure this out someday. Like I said, though, that scene did turn out a lot stronger than I was expecting it to. It had a lot of surprises. It generated some new side characters, which is like, okay, cool, I'm down for this. It really showed me this character's heart in a way that I'll need going forward. Day 6 was rough for writing, guys. I had an appointment in the morning for a dress fitting, which was great, and I got to hang out with a puppy that looked surprisingly like Reggie, even though they're different breeds. So that was the highlight of my morning, but it meant that I was not able to be as productive writing-wise as I was kind of hoping to be. That said, though, I was still able to write. I just skipped and wrote my ending instead. I don't normally do that. Normally I have to go in order, but this time, just because it was a chaotic day, I didn't feel like putting myself through like the mental task of trying to tackle my climax. So instead I went for this sort of aftermath kind of stuff, and it generated some really cute scenes that I was so happy with. For future, I know that if I need to skip to the end first, it's something I can do. This is just me filling out my little chart to mark the progress that I had made throughout the week. Honestly, I'm not 100% sure of all the things that I wrote on day 7 because I was kind of all over the place. I finished Niki Remembers Who Her Main Character Is, and I finished Ew, Action, Make It Stop. I also finished And They All Lived Happily Ever Psych, so now that I think about it, I accomplished like a ton of stuff yesterday. Niki Remembers Who Her Main Character Is was my true climax. So the joke there is that this story started as one character story, but then he kind of became the least interesting character in the whole thing. So I didn't spend as much time with him as I probably should have, and when the climax came around, there were so many other people that I wanted to look after and follow through on that it was like, okay, I need to make sure that I actually give the climax to the main character of this book. So that was a cute little reminder to myself that like, okay, this needs to be the biggest moment. Like, you've had all these big moments for these other characters, but this one needs to hit the hardest. And I think that it did. Technically, these last clips are from day 8 this morning because I didn't quite finish in exactly 7 days. It's Wednesday to Wednesday though, we'll count it. This is me just finishing up the last scene on my chart. It only took me like 40 minutes, which is so fast for me. So we're calling it a success. This was a big week. I did a ton of writing. So thankful for the time and inspiration God gave me over the past few days. It was honestly a little bit stressful trying to squeeze it in with everything else that I had going on, but it felt so good. And now I have a complete draft. I want to celebrate. I want to do something fun. I have to figure out what that is. Most of the stuff that I work on in this world is the reiteration of a story that I've been rewriting and rewriting forever. So this felt so good to go back into the same world and write something new from beginning to end. Wow. Good week. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it and that you're inspired to go out and tackle one of your writing goals this week. And as always, do not forget to spend some time in the clouds today.